Anger over Victoria's building society crisis. And a homecoming turns violent in South Africa. This is SBS World News. Good evening. The Soviet Union has lifted its crippling economic blockade of Lithuania 24 hours after the rebel republic agreed to freeze its declaration of independence. The confrontation with Moscow may be over for the time being, but Lithuanians say their drive for sovereignty is not. The republic's prime minister predicts Lithuania will be independent within 3 years.
A bloody end to a demonstration by peasant farmers in Manila. This is SBS World News. Good evening. Police and troops in Manila are tonight on full alert after a demonstration outside the presidential palace ended in bloodshed with soldiers firing into the crowd. 12 people were killed, nearly 100 injured, most of them peasant farmers demanding land reform. It's the first time troops have opened fire on demonstrators since President Corazon Aquino came to power. She's condemned the shooting and ordered an independent inquiry to find those responsible.
All-out effort to complete key bridge for Bosnian NATO mission. Italian Prime Minister set to resign, and Yeltsin adamant on reform despite election woes. Coming up in SBS World News, the Liberal leadership showdown brought forward to 9 a.m. tomorrow. Religious leaders plead for mercy for Australians on death row in Bali. And Australian artists set to clean up at the Grammys. Details at 6:30.
Discussing the highs and lows of humanity, along with being a mum, gives me perspective. Working with Anton, well, we've discovered we have a lot in common, and we're both from migrant families.
Growing up in South Africa, I experienced racism at first hand. Now Australia has become my home. I've been hanging out in newsrooms for over 30 years. Here at SBS, we don't just do international news, we also tackle local issues.
Join Anton and Janice for a complete perspective. SBS World News, weeknight 6:30, SBS 1.
Excuse me. And interest rates could be forced down. Good evening. The Western Allies have carried out their... Good afternoon. I'm Lee Lin Chin with a special SBS World News report. Good evening. Lee Lin Chin with SBS World News. Australia's first Indigenous federal MP says he's been the victim of a racist backlash.
The US military starts investigating claims of another massacre of Iraqi civilians by American troops. Corks popping after the snowy hydro sail is abandoned. Looting goes on in East Timor as the Prime Minister continues to resist calls for him to go. And growing anger in Chile over police tactics used to quell student protests. Good evening, Anton Enos with SBS World News Australia.